2026 has hundreds of games coming out, but here's the truth. Only some of them are truly special. I'm going to show you the 15 best single-player PS5 games that are absolutely worth your time. No boring stuff, no games nobody talks about. Just the heavy hitters, the games that will make 2026 legendary. Are you ready? Let's go! Okay, so The Blood of Dawnwalker is made by the same people who created The Witcher 3. But this time, you're playing as a vampire. A vampire! And not just any vampire. You're trying to protect your human family, which is actually pretty cool when you think about it. The combat looks absolutely amazing. Blood everywhere, superpowers, epic sword fights. It's wild. Here's the really interesting part. During the day, you're just a regular person. You walk around, talk to people, try to act normal. But at night, you transform into this unstoppable vampire warrior. It's like having a secret superhero identity. The game promises that your choices actually matter. Like, they change the story for real. The developers want to prove they can make something incredible. And from what we've seen so far, this game looks intense. If you like action games with cool powers and tough decisions, keep your eye on this one. So, Microsoft is bringing back the original Halo game. But wait, this isn't just the old game with a fresh coat of paint. They're rebuilding everything from the ground up. New graphics, smarter enemies, more details everywhere. It's going to look like a brand new 2026 game. Now here's the thing, this version is only the single-player story. No online multiplayer, just you versus the aliens. But honestly, the Halo campaign is legendary. You play as Master Chief, this super soldier in awesome armor. And you're fighting to save all of humanity from alien invaders called the Covenant. Plus, there's these scary zombie things called the Flood. The story is epic. My only question is this, can they make it feel as special as it did back in the day? Because graphics are cool, but the game needs to be fun. If you've never played Halo before, this is your chance. And if you played it when you were younger, get ready to relive some awesome memories. This game launches on September 9th, and wow, it looks insane! Imagine Devil May Cry mixed with Chinese kung fu movies. The combat is super fast, super brutal, and incredibly stylish. You're playing as this mysterious assassin, fighting in a dark fantasy version of ancient China. Every battle looks like a movie fight scene. The gameplay shows you doing these amazing combo attacks, dodging at the last second, making enemies, well, let's just say you defeat them very dramatically. This game is rated M for mature, so it's definitely for older players. What's really cool, this isn't made by some giant company. It's a smaller team who spent years making this perfect. The boss fights look absolutely ridiculous. Huge monsters, crazy attack patterns. The kind of fights that make you say, okay, one more try, even when you keep losing. My only concern is sometimes these action games start out amazing, but then get boring later. But if they keep adding new moves and enemies, this could be one of the best surprises of 2026. Onimusha is back! This series hasn't had a new game in like 20 years, but Capcom is bringing it back. And it looks awesome! You play as a samurai warrior fighting demons in ancient Japan. The sword combat is all about skill and timing. You can't just mash buttons and hope for the best. Every sword swing needs to be perfect, because these demons are tough. Think Dark Souls but with samurai swords. What I really like is they're keeping it simple. No complicated crafting, no grinding for hundreds of hours, just you, your sword, and demons to defeat. The game looks beautiful too. Dark temples, battles under the moonlight, that spooky Japanese horror feeling. Capcom has been making amazing games lately, so they know how to do comebacks right. But here's what matters most. This game needs to be good on its own. Not just popular because it's an old series coming back. If they do this right, everyone's going to remember why Onimusha was so special in the first place. Control was this really weird game that came out a few years ago. Some people loved it, others found it super confusing. Now we're getting Control Resonant, and the developers say they're going to fix the problems while keeping the cool stuff. You work for this secret government agency that investigates paranormal events. Basically, really strange and creepy things. But this time, the story is supposed to be easier to understand. The powers look incredible. You can throw objects with your mind, fly around, even change reality itself. It's like being a superhero, but darker and stranger. The combat is getting improved too, which is good because the first game's fighting felt a bit stiff and awkward. They're also making the world bigger. More places to explore, more mysteries to solve, more of that crazy storytelling that makes you think. But here's my concern. Sometimes the studio gets so focused on being artistic and mysterious that they forget to make games fun to actually play. If they can balance the weird story with fun gameplay, this will be amazing. If not, well, it might be one of those games that's more interesting to watch than to play. A James Bond game that's actually about being a spy? This is amazing! 007 First Light comes out May 27th, and it's doing something really cool. You're playing as a young James Bond. Before he became the famous super spy, before all the fancy gadgets and cars, when he was just starting out as an agent. The people making this also made the Hitman games. Those are all about sneaking around and being clever, which is perfect for a spy game. The stealth looks super tense and exciting. You're sneaking into secret bases, gathering information, making quick decisions about whether to fight or hide. You can't just shoot everything. You have to think like a real spy. They're adding actual spy gadgets that are actually useful, not just silly toys. Here's the thing though, Bond games have been hit or miss over the years. Some are great, some are not so great. This game isn't based on a movie, which means they're creating a brand new Bond story. Can they make it awesome? The early videos look really promising. If this works, it could be the best Bond game in years. Imagine actually feeling like a real secret agent. That would be incredible. Pragmata has been delayed a bunch of times, but it's finally coming on April 24th. And Capcom is being super mysterious about what this game actually is. You've got an astronaut and a little girl with special powers, and they're on Earth. But Earth looks completely destroyed. Ruined cities, strange technology everywhere. It's like sci-fi meets mystery. What we've seen looks absolutely beautiful. Crumbling buildings, zero-gravity sections where you float around, these huge mysterious creatures lurking in the shadows. But here's the confusing part. Capcom keeps showing us cool cinematic videos, but they haven't really explained how you play. Is it an action game, a puzzle game, an exploration game? Nobody really knows. And that's either really smart marketing or a warning sign. The delays make me a little worried too. Sometimes games that get delayed turn out amazing. Sometimes they don't. But Capcom has been making really good games lately, so I'm hopeful. We'll find out in April if this mystery was worth the wait. Fingers crossed. Saros comes out April 30th, and this is one of those special indie games everyone's talking about. It's a time loop game, which means you relive the same day over and over again, but wait, this one is different. Instead of just fighting, you're solving this huge mystery about why the world is ending. You're like a detective, trying to figure everything out. The art style looks gorgeous, like a comic book that came to life. Every person you meet has secrets. Every choice you make matters. And the loop actually changes based on what you discover. The team making this is super small. They've been working on it for years, pouring all their heart into it. What makes this special is the emotional story. You're not just shooting things, you're trying to understand people, making friends, finding hope even when things look bad. That's pretty deep for a game. My concern is sometimes these ambitious indie games try to do too much. But when they work, they're unforgettable. This could be 2026's biggest surprise, or a beautiful experiment that tried its best. Either way, it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. Crimson Desert releases March 19th. This is Pearl Abyss making their first big single-player game. It's an open-world action RPG, set in a medieval fantasy world, but this world is falling apart. You're playing as a mercenary leader, someone who fights for money, and you're trying to survive in this brutal land where kingdoms are crumbling. Everyone's fighting just to stay alive. The combat looks intense and powerful. Big swords, epic mounted battles, huge siege warfare. They're promising this massive world to explore. Different regions, each with their own stories and problems. What's really cool is they're focusing on realistic medieval stuff. No magic fireballs, no elves or wizards, just the Middle Ages. But way more dramatic. The scale is huge. They showed massive battles with hundreds of soldiers, cities under attack, weather that actually changes how you play. But here's the big question. Pearl Abyss has never made a game like this before. Can they pull it off? The early videos look incredible, but we've seen amazing trailers before that didn't deliver. March is pretty early in the year for such a big game. Is that bold or risky? We'll find out really soon. On February 27th, Resident Evil Requiem is coming, and Capcom is making their scariest game yet. After the success of the recent Resident Evil remakes, they're making a completely new story, and it's supposed to be really, really spooky. You're in this isolated village in Europe, and there's a new virus outbreak. From what they've shown, it looks genuinely terrifying. The enemies are disturbing, the atmosphere is dark and creepy. They're bringing back classic survival horror stuff. Limited supplies, puzzle solving, that constant feeling of what's around that corner. What's cool is they're mixing old school tension with modern graphics and controls. The game controls smoothly now, but you still feel vulnerable. Ammo is precious. Every fight is a choice. Do you use your bullets, or do you run? They're also adding realistic injuries. Get hurt badly and you'll be limping around, trying to survive. My only concern? Resident Evil has been so good lately. Expectations are through the roof. This needs to find the perfect balance. Scary, but still fun to play. If they nail it, this could be the best Resident Evil in years. If not, well, at least it'll give us some good scares. February is going to be intense. Avowed is finally coming to PlayStation on February 17th. It was on Xbox first, but now PS5 players get to join the fun. This is made by Obsidian, the same people who made some really famous RPG games. They're making their version of Skyrim. You're in this fantasy world full of magic and mystery. You're sent to investigate a strange plague on a living island. Yes, a living island. How cool is that? The combat lets you mix magic and weapons together. You can use 2 magic spells at once, or a sword and shield, or go full wizard mode. What makes this exciting is the choices you get to make. Obsidian is really good at this. Every decision you make actually matters. Your companions might not like what you do, and consequences follow you through the whole game. Now, the graphics look good. Not amazing, just good. The world seems interesting and full of stories. Think of it like Skyrim, but with better storytelling. Some people will love that. Others might want something more, but February doesn't usually have many big games, so this could be the star of the month. If you love fantasy games with lots of choices, this is worth checking out. On February 6th, Team Ninja releases Nioh 3. And if you know Nioh, you know what's coming. Difficulty. This game is hard, but in a good way. It's like Dark Souls, but faster. More technical. Set in fantasy Japan with demons everywhere. The combat is super deep and complex. You switch fighting stances, chain weapon combos together, use magic abilities, command guardian spirits. You need to master all of it, or you're going to have a tough time. What's new this time? You're traveling beyond Japan, visiting different regions, fighting creatures from different mythologies. More enemies, more weapons, more ways to build your character. They're also adding better multiplayer options, so you can play with friends. Here's the truth about Nioh games. They're incredible if you have patience. If you like challenges, they reward skill and practice. But they're also brutally difficult, sometimes really hard. If you tried Nioh 1 or 2 and didn't like them, this probably won't change your mind. But if you loved them, this is more of what you want. Bigger and even more challenging. February 6th is early in the year, so if you want a tough game to start 2026, this will definitely test your skills. Fable is coming back in autumn 2026, and Xbox is doing something interesting. They're having Playground Games make it. That's the team that makes the Forza racing games. I know that sounds weird. A racing game studio making a fantasy RPG? But those Forza games have beautiful open worlds, so maybe they can do it. This is a complete reboot, a fresh start. You're in the magical land of Albion, where your choices change everything, how you look, how people treat you. The entire world around you, that's classic Fable. The British humor is back too. Expect funny characters, strange quests, and lots of jokes. The combat looks way better than the old Fable games. Magic, melee fighting, ranged weapons, all the options you could want. The world looks absolutely gorgeous. Realistic graphics, beautiful fantasy locations. Playground knows how to make worlds look amazing. But here's the big question. Can they capture what made the original Fable so special? Can they handle all the RPG stuff? Dialogue choices, quest lines, character growth, all while keeping that Fable charm and humor? The previews look really promising, but we won't know for sure until autumn. This is definitely a game to watch. If they pull it off, it could be amazing. In fall 2026, Insomniac is making the Wolverine game we've been wanting forever. These are the same people who made those awesome Spider-Man games. Now they're making Wolverine. And from what little we've seen, it looks intense. This is a more mature superhero game. Wolverine is Marvel's toughest and angriest hero. The game deals with his past, his struggles, probably some of his origin story. The combat needs to feel powerful and raw. Every attack should feel impactful. His healing powers should be important. You should feel like an unstoppable force. Insomniac proved with Spider-Man that they understand superheroes. So expectations are really high. What's a little concerning is we haven't seen much yet. They announced this game years ago, but they've shown almost nothing. Are they keeping it secret? Or are they still figuring things out? I believe Insomniac can do it. Their recent games have been fantastic. If this delivers on being the ultimate Wolverine experience, it'll be incredible, powerful, emotional, epic. We'll have to wait until fall to find out, but this is definitely one of the most exciting games coming. November 19th, Grand Theft Auto 6. This might be the biggest game release ever. Rockstar has been working on this for over 10 years. 10 years. The expectations are absolutely massive. You're going back to Vice City. That's Rockstar's version of Miami. And this time there are 2 main characters, including the series' first female lead character. That's pretty cool. The map is supposedly enormous. Multiple cities. Different regions to explore. They're promising the most detailed open world ever created. Characters that have actual daily routines and lives. Dynamic events happening everywhere. Technology that makes everything else look old. The budget is rumored to be huge, like movie-level huge. But here's the big question. Can any game live up to this much hype? GTA 5 was revolutionary back in 2013, but gaming has changed so much since then. What can GTA 6 do that will really amaze us? The early leaks showed impressive stuff, but nothing that made people's jaws drop. Rockstar is betting everything on this being the next generation's benchmark game. November release? Right before the holidays? That's either supreme confidence or really needing those holiday sales. This will either change gaming for the next decade or be the biggest disappointment in video game history. No pressure, Rockstar. The whole world is watching. So there you have it. The 15 best single-player PS5 games coming in 2026. These games look absolutely incredible. Now, will every single one be perfect? Probably not. Some might get delayed. That happens sometimes in game development. But the ones that do come out, they're going to be amazing. 2026 is shaping up to be an epic year for gaming. We've got new studios trying exciting things, beloved franchises making comebacks, and so many awesome games to look forward to. That's what makes it so exciting. The possibilities, the potential, the chance that one of these becomes your new favorite game. If you made it this far, drop a comment. Tell me which game you're most excited for. Which one are you going to play first? And if you want more awesome gaming content and updates on these games, make sure to subscribe. I'll be here covering these games as they release, celebrating all the wins. 2026 is going to be wild. Let's see these amazing games in action. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Game on!